establishment of the Highlands National Monument. Here we go. Got to fill this in. I know, Santina, I'm trying, the day of, in this hand, you'll fill in the dates here, guys? All right.
4 years. Guy's been running the country for 4 years. I can't wait to hear what Stu has to say about that and other things. Joining me now, obviously, host of Stu Does America, freaking hilarious, one of my favorite shows, Stu Burgiere. Okay, first of all, Stu, Joe Biden has obviously not been running anything for 4 years, but who has? Everyone keeps asking, is it Susan Rice? Is it his witch wife? Who's actually been the commander-in-chief for 4 years?
I don't know, but whoever it is running it into the ground. And I'm glad to see that this is over in just a couple of days. It's fascinating to watch this. I keep getting reminded that he's actually president of the United States. He's still president, Jesse. It's happening right now. We are in severe danger. This man still holds whatever power he seems to hold. He's using it quite a bit, but man, it is fascinating to watch. I hadn't seen that clip yet. I'd heard about it, but hadn't seen it yet. He's not kidding. He doesn't go to the audience and be like, "Oh, can you guys fill in the dates?" They all laugh. He's just an old man who doesn't know what he's supposed to do. Don't laugh at him.
Stu, you mentioned about all the damage they're doing on the way out. He's springing Yemeni terrorists from Guantanamo Bay, handing out billions in checks. I mean, you name it, they're doing it, right? Letting people off scot-free. Is Joe Biden, I can't help but think as I look at all the crap he's doing, is he just completely free of worrying about the Democrat Party since they screwed him over? And so if he's going to hurt their poll numbers some more on the way out, screw him.
Yeah, I think that might be part of why they're removing Cuba from the terror list, which was a pretty big one that a lot of Democrats in Florida were pissed off about. They're like, we're already getting killed in this state. Like, now you're going to do this? He doesn't seem to care about much of anything right now. And, he keeps doing the things that he's doing. You mentioned, the student loans, more of these unconstitutional student loan, situations where they're just giving basically our money to people who took out loans and they don't have to repay them anymore. You've got that going on. Of course, the offshore drilling is another one. We've been doing a series of shows called Biden's Parting Shots, and he just keeps doing them over and over and over again. One that wasn't covered all that widely, you may have hit it, Jesse, but I don't think a lot of people know about it, was this idea that they are now forcing, they're implementing a situation where they cannot put medical debt on credit reports. So if you owe $100,000 because of some surgery, some terrible thing that's happened, and you go to get a loan, they are making it so the banks can't see that you owe $100,000 to somebody else. And while I have empathy for people who go through a situation like that, obviously it's terrible and you hope to avoid it. But what does that put into place? These companies are going to make loans to people. They don't understand their credit score. They don't understand what's going on with them. When they can't make the payments, all of their projections are going to be off. Does anybody remember 2008? Does anybody remember what went on? It's the same situation, and he's implementing it intentionally this time.
Stu, how's he get remembered? Is it a Jimmy Carter style presidency where even today, my sons who obviously were not alive when Jimmy Carter was there, I wasn't alive when Jimmy Carter was there, but everyone just kind of knows, Jimmy Carter, it kind of sucked. Is that how Joe's going to be remembered? Because that's really how he should be remembered.
Jesse, I would say that is his absolute best case scenario. If he could be seen in his eyes as Jimmy Carter, who I think we all look at him as incompetent and a bad president, but generally speaking, a nice guy and not I don't think of him as one of the villains of American history per se. I have a much lower opinion of a guy like Lyndon Johnson than I do of Jimmy Carter. Biden, though, is in that camp. He is governed as the most progressive president arguably in history. Thank God that damage is only limited to 4 years, but he's packed a lot of entertainment in those 4 years. And I made this point before the election, and I think it will hold true to the day I die. the remembrance of Joe Biden, whether he should be elected or not, how he should be seen on presidential lists, just Afghanistan is enough. You need nothing else to know about this guy's legacy. He's done dozens of other horrible things throughout his presidency, but just the way that Afghanistan withdrawal, if you can call it that, played out is so destructive to the American experiment, to the legacy of this country, to what we've done, what it means globally to our allies. It was so horrible that just that one thing is enough to put him near the very bottom of all presidents. And if he's not, I mean, he may be at the very bottom, honestly, I think is the way that people are going to remember him.
He really may be at the very bottom. Speaking of bottoms, where do they dig up their next candidate from? I mean, Pete Buttigieg obviously is going to run. Gavin Newsom is going to run. Who's on the bench? Because I know Dome will probably run again, but after you tear through $1.5 billion, she's going to get the same 2% in the next primary that she got in the last one she actually ran in. Who's the next guy? They got to come up with one pretty quick.
It's a good point. I think, the terrible LA fires as a city burned down, so did Gavin Newsom 2028. So I think that one's gone at this point. You're right with Kamala. I don't think she has any chance. I don't think she's hated in the way that Hillary Clinton is hated on the left, because they saw the Hillary Clinton thing as this like unimaginable loss. How did you blow this? Where Kamala, I think they've ended with this excuse series where they're like, oh, well, she got in last minute, and they keep coming up with excuses. I don't think they despise her, but I don't think she can win. I think the big winner of the 2024 campaign for the Democrats was Josh Shapiro. The fact that he wasn't picked when I think quite obviously he should have been the pick instead of Tim Walz, who's an absolute embarrassment and will be forgotten if he isn't forgotten already in weeks. But Josh Shapiro was the guy who I think now you kind of look back and maybe they should have picked him. He's still kind of clean in Pennsylvania. He hasn't had, any big national scandals of note that people know about. So, I guess if I were to pick one right now, I might lean towards Shapiro, who has a lot of that sort of, they say has that Obama-style charm. And he's been at times oddly pragmatic and sane. Like after the Trump assassination, he wasn't like, actually, he wasn't shot. It was glass from the teleprompter. He was like really, he was like pretty sane at that point. It's saying how terrible it was. And I thought handled that situation well. He's had a couple of other situations he's handled okay when it comes to, bridge collapses and such. So I don't know. If you're going to pick one this far out, which is probably too early, I'd say Shapiro.
Yeah, I guess we'll see if the whole being Jewish thing is still a problem for Democrat primary voters, because it certainly was the last time. Stu?
Sure was.
You are the man, brother. Come back soon. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.